Well, who the heck are you guys then?
I'm Jim, nice to meet you.
Hello Jim, what do you do?
I work at UCB, I'm the Youth and Children's Coordinator. I work on a project called One Hope and we give out gospel books to children.
Fantastic. And who the heck are you, mate?
My name is Joel and I also work at UCB. I do the Word for You Today, which is a daily devotional for teenagers.
Is the church relevant to 21st century Britain? What do you think, Joel?
Goodness, the church is relevant to 21st century Britain. Entirely. It's entirely relevant. Let me think about this.
How could we be more relevant?
How could we be more relevant?
Yeah, come on.
I think we need to get back to basics of sitting in houses in front rooms and drinking coffee or beer or tea or whatever you want and discussing the Bible. Today we were talking to a ministry, a big national ministry, and one of their sort of like pioneering ministries is just getting people together in rooms in like people's houses and discussing the Bible. And that's one of their main ministries, and you think the basicness of that, I think, kind of shows us that there's something we need to be going back to. Rather than go forward, we need to go back, basically.
Jim, what do you reckon? How could we be more relevant?
I say the same in coffee shops, personally. Get me a mocha and I'm there.
I'm just recovering from that mocha. What was it that you bought me at lunchtime?
As a creme brulee. Write this down before it goes off. Creme brulee mocha. Don't listen to the macchiato. Creme brulee mocha. Also, Christmas drinks are coming back in. I'm just saying. Little plug for it.
I've been as high as a kite all afternoon with that. It lit me up.
Sugar, caffeine, and chocolate.
Coffee shops, you think, is a good place to meet?
I do.
Yeah?
I think the church is relevant, but I think the church, in terms of the body of Christ, is relevant. I don't think the way we're doing church is relevant. I think you and me and people around who call ourselves Christians are relevant because we're living real lives. But I think we switch in our heads from being the church to being interacting with people. And if we put them together, if we were living amongst people as Christians and didn't think that church was that thing we did over there, we'd be an awful lot more impactful for the nation. I think the church is relevant if we're talking about the people. If I say church and you think of a spire and a stone building, then I think that's not relevant. I think that the difference is you and me. I'm not saying you in a didactic way, I'm not preaching at you, but I think I need to be more relevant because I need to live Christ to the people around me more, and I suspect you do as well.
You said didactic.
He did.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, that was a lot better than mine.
Didactic. You said that. You have to explain that to me later on.
She's a female singer. She had a bongo set.
Did it come
yeah, that's right. Yeah, she was quite good actually. I thought,
Right,
yeah.
next.
Okay, well, listen, what's the problem here? Because a lot of our money that we're spending in churches, though, is on bigger buildings. Are we missing the mark here?
Yeah, I think we are. My idea of where the church is going to go forwards is house-based, like home group-based. And as much as I think the flashy big mega churches are for some people, they're a product of the 21st century. They've never been seen before. I just don't know if they're going to last. I think they might last, and if I do, I'll eat my words. But they're new. They might be a flash in the pan. Yeah.
Are we missing the mark with big church buildings and £5 million building projects when we should just be buying
More coffee.
More coffee,
More
basically.
Coffee. No, it's great. Isn't it amazing when you see a big church, if it's an old cathedral or if it's a new powerful one with a set stage where they can dim the lights and put, brilliant if you can see them doing something. But I think we can only build them if we're filling them. And if we're not filling them, then the problem's not about a church project, it's about the you and me, just to come back to that and hark on about it. I think that big churches, fantastic if they're being used. Don't build them expecting to fill them then build them.
If we build them, they will come. Don't you believe that? Don't you believe that?
I don't believe that.
If we have cake, they will come.
Yeah.
Okay then, so small communities and coffee is really where you think it's at, people being real with one another. Is that a...
Or big communities, so long as it's real people. It's not about, I'm not saying that, let's not despise the big.
What's unreal then about the church? It seems as though you're saying that it might be unreal. What's unreal about, Christians gathering together? Joel?
What's unreal about Christians gathering together?
Yeah.
I think it all comes from the top down. What's unreal about Christians gathering together today, it all comes from the top down. It's all, you do this, and you do this, rather than each individual spiritual disciplines bringing to the point where they want to do that, whatever that is. So tithing, for an example, rather than it coming as an individual spiritual discipline and think, I want to be generous because I have the regenerated heart of Christ in me, so I want to do this because it comes naturally from me. Instead, what's unreal is we've got churches that say tithing happens here, 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 and here. Sign up here. Send your direct debit here.
Preach.
And yeah, so that's what I think is unreal.
So,
Well said, mate.
control then. Are we too controlling?
Formulas are helpful. Control's helpful. But if I say, even the very first question, is the church relevant? As soon as you say that, I bet we all think of a building. I bet we all think of a person at the front in a check suit these days. I think we all think of someone doing church. I think if we think of church as being people, then absolutely we can be real. And it's not unhelpful to have tools. It's not unhelpful to have a daily devotion or a gospel booklet or even an encouragement to say, this is a way you can tithe. But if those tools become the things that weigh us down, then they've just become another load on our backs.
Yeah.
And even worse, we think it's the church.
Sorry, Joel.
No, I was just going to add on to that. I think the phrase "do church" as well is interesting. Like, it implies like a little box where we do church, whereas we are the church.
Yeah, big time.
Sorry, that was a bit didactic.
Do you think we need to be a little bit more holistic?
Honest.
Do you like that?
Nice.
Holistic.
It's nice, he's a theologian.
Yeah,
Nice, I like that
holistic.
one.
The Bible. Is the Bible relevant? Do you have non-Christian friends, Joel?
Yeah.
What do they think of the Bible?
Most of them have got very, very defined thoughts about the Bible. Ancient, out of touch with society today, strange, different, and barbaric in places. And I'd actually, do you know, in a sense I'd agree with all of that. I think that's all true. Like, it's written in a way that might be out of touch with today's society. What it takes is people who'll actually say, well, yes, it is. It might seem alien and foreign and different, but that's because it was written thousands of years before. Let's get through to the deeper truth. Like, the very fact that it's ancient and mystical and weird and foreign, but that it's talking about something deeper about God that we can still talk about today and still feel in the same way that they felt back then. That's, I think, the deeper truth that, my friends don't get that at all.
Is the Bible a mystical book?
Mystical book.
Sounds like it. From what you said, it sounds as
Yeah.
it's mystical.
I think it is, but it depends how you define mystical. I think mystical is part of real life. I don't think of mystical as some spooky other plane that's happening up here. I think the mystery of God is the core of reality.
Oh, look at that for a quote. Write that down. Did you hear that?
The mystery,
The
of, God,
mystery of God is
the core of reality.
Get a pen.
Didactical. I'm in the presence of just almost divinity here. I really am. I can see that. Okay, so
sarcasm.
listen, we're getting to it here. Then you're really saying then that the church is people being real, people living together in community, people discovering the mystery of God. And the mystery of God as He teaches and reveals Himself to us in the Scriptures. Is that right?
Yeah.
And in that being the case, we're relevant.
Yeah, it's not rocket science. I think we know deep down inside of us when we're having a good Christian day, and that's nothing to do with how many boxes we've ticked. That's to do with how much of God we've met that day and how much of God we've met in the people around us, especially those who don't know Him. I think that being real, isn't it awful? Even that becomes a buzzword. But just being people. Just
You mean being normal?
Yeah,
Well, hang on a second. Just being normal. And just being normal amongst people, and just being normal and taking this thing called the Bible and taking this reality called God along with you as if it's normal, and telling people as if that's normal and as if He's normal, and introducing someone in their normal to the most unnormal and most challenging thing through the most challenging book, the most challenging person, through the most challenging book that they'll ever come across.
I just want to say that wasn't very didactical at the end.
Wasn't
there.
it? Sorry about that.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Listen, here's the problem. Most Christians think that the church and the Bible is relevant. In my experience, in all the interviews I've done so far, most non-Christians think the church and the Bible is completely irrelevant.
Absolutely.
That's a massive gap, isn't it? Why do you think there's this gap in what people believe about the relevancy of the church and the Bible? Why are we out of touch? Are we so completely out of touch as the church, do you think?
For me, if the Bible is countercultural, if the Bible challenges society, and it does, I mean, pick up one red hot hot potatoes, the whole gay issue, the whole homosexuality issue. What do you do with a culture who says that's absolutely fine, the Bible who says it's absolutely not, and how do you put them together? I mean, that's one topic example, but throughout the Bible, talk about just one way to heaven, all sorts of different things. And a Bible that says one thing and a culture says the other, it can't be relevant. But if you bring them into interaction with each other, if you say, this is normal, this is part of who I am and what I'm doing, suddenly you get these things interacting. The difference between a Bible and a culture position that don't interact and a Bible and culture position that do interact, it'll never seem relevant in the way that's easy, but it can seem relevant in a way that's usefully challenging to the way you do life.
Joel, interacting with the basis of normality, would you agree with that?
Interacting with the basis of normality. Yeah. That's pretty straightforward.
So basically,
I'd like to do that, yes.
we basically cracked it then, you think?
Yeah.
But what will this give birth to? You know, if we as Christians were able to shed Christianese, cultural Christian outlook, and start being normal, and even start speaking normal, what do you think the church might look like if we all did that?
I think it'll look a heck of a lot more countercultural and not in a nice namby-pamby, oh, we've got some different ideas way, actually countercultural. And we need, at the minute, it's very much like, well, obviously you believe in God, it's logical 1, 2, 3, and the Bible just makes sense. And like you said, people outside of the church are like, well, the Bible doesn't make sense, it's weird, it's unusual. We need to kind of get back to that and say, actually, yes, the Bible is weird, it's unusual, it's countercultural. That's why, like, it's written by the creator of the universe who became a human being. That's a little bit odd. So
do you think it might be revolutionary, Joel? Is that what you're saying? That we could have almost have a revolution if we started being normal?
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think it's revolutionary in that way, Jim?
Absolutely, absolutely revolutionary. There's the Gandhi quote that said, if you guys knew the dynamite you had here, then you would treat it with an awful lot more care and respect. I'm paraphrasing, you probably said it better than that. But I think the Bible is massively revolutionary, massively countercultural, and like I say, if it was preached if it was preached as it is, and if it was given the value that it is, and if we lived it as if it was a challenging book to take into our life rather than just something to get nice stories out of on a Sunday morning, it would be a completely different thing. Imagine if a carpenter who was suddenly doing something crazy and revolutionary, who went around chatting to normal people like fishermen and said, come and live with me in a way that's completely countercultural. What if something like that happened that wasn't just fairy tale stories, but was real people doing terrifying, normal things, if you see what I mean? What if we lived like that?
Okay, I've got one final question for you both. I don't think you're ready for this question. I'm going to ask it anyway. In light of the last 10 minutes,
okay,
what are you going to do about this, Joel?
What am I going to do about this right now? Goodness, I think I need to start talking to my my neighbours who live in the flat downstairs.
What are you going to do about what you've just said, Jim?
Probably going to drink more coffee. I think, what am I going to do about it? I'm going to seek to be more lived out in my Bible time with the people who are around me who don't know Jesus.
Shall we say together, after 3, be normal. 1, 2, 3, be normal. God bless you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bless you, mate.
Bye-bye, mate. Bye-bye, Joel.